All right, welcome to रेडियो जिंदगी डियर लिसनर्स। आपको पता ही है ये वाला म्यूजिक जब आ जाते हैं तो फिर हमारे साथ आते हैं जैसे कि कहते हैं ना कि कानून के हाथ लंबे होते हैं और वो लंबे हाथों को एकदम आराम से हैंडल करने वाले शापिर आली हम लिख के आते हैं शापिर आली लॉ शो खास आपके लिए। अभी उनके बारे में मैं क्या बताऊं। ही इज द फाउंडर, प्रेसिडेंट एंड मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर ऑफ शापिर आली लॉ ग्रुप पीसी, which is in Newark, in Washington DC, and in San Francisco. He is a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association as well as the State Bar of California. He is such a passionate advocate of human rights कि मैं क्या बताऊं, like civil rights हो, social action हो या फिर social services हो. He always has a strong interest of the political and legal system in the US and how can, he go beyond to help you out. He formed his law group to work on the causes that he feels most ardent about. The law group focuses on immigration law with an emphasis on employment-based immigration and helps clients all over the US. So without further ado, let's welcome Shah Pirali. Hi Shah, how are you? Welcome to Radio Zindagi.
Hi Rini. Thank you for the nice welcome. And just to let you know, I apologize today. I was a little bit busy, so I was not sure I was going to be able to do the show live. So we're just going to shoot on any topic that will be preferable to you or the listeners. And anything I'm going to tell you today is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. Rini, I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So, any specific question on your side that you already have you want me to answer? Or we'll just talk about employment base, of course, and also... as usual, whatever we cover as topic.
I think, Shah, how about like today you start the show because I understand you are under loads of pressure and helping a lot of people. So you must be having a lot of new, scenarios in the immigration field. तो फिर आप उनके बारे में थोड़ा सा बताइए हमें.
Definitely, Rini. That's one of the reasons I've been a little bit overwhelmed lately, but luckily we're able to manage. But still, one of the things we are seeing a lot is people who have H-1Bs and who have actually used a company or certain companies with, as you know, whenever you were filing H-1Bs back in the days, you needed to show what we call an end client letter. And many companies, they will just take an end client letter randomly and put it in the case. And ultimately, those job offers are not present. And what is happening when people are renewing their H-1Bs, the government is coming back and using that against the candidates. And some of them are losing their H-1Bs. I have few people I know who are stuck in India and charged under 212A6C1, which basically is fraud and misrepresentation. And that, unfortunately, is very, very hard to clear. Most of the time, you cannot really clear this. Can you hear me, Rini?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'm so sorry. So I was saying that, unfortunately, to clear those situations is a very, very difficult task. In fact, most people are not able to clear them. Once you get that issue, you're pretty much kind of... unless USCIS or the State Department kind of forgive you or you file a waiver, they accept it, most of the time it's a dead end. So if you have a situation like that, you need to be very careful when you're filing your extension because many of those people, their original H-1B was filed 2-3 years ago, and when the companies get investigated, once a company gets investigated and they know there was some kind of... I'll say quote unquote misleading information or misrepresentation, there's a chance you're going to lose your H-1B. And that's what we call a revocation. Revocation means something, there are two things in H-1B. One is withdrawal, one is revocation. Withdrawal is when you leave a company, they withdraw their H-1B. That doesn't mean your H-1B is gone, it's just their specific I-94 for that company is gone. But there's something else which we call revocation. Revocation means the USCIS take away the H-1B as if it never existed. Okay, so especially if it at the outset, the original H-1B, you use a letter like that, the end client letter where there was no real end client, you will get into major trouble. So unfortunately, I have not seen many solutions on that. Few cases they have forgiven, but most cases they don't. So you need to have an alternative, and you can talk to us by giving us a call. We can assess your case independently and see what are your options. But clearing it is a very, very difficult task, unfortunately. And that's one thing we're seeing a lot lately, because there's a lot of investigation being conducted by the Department of Homeland Security and even the Department of State. So be careful who you pick as employer. And if the end client is fake, well, even though now they don't really put emphasis on the end client means if you're working with a consulting company, they usually have to show that they ultimately have work for you where they will place you. But that has to be genuine. And that can really cause a lot of harm, and you might end up not coming back to the U.S. if you're outside. So be careful on that. Any questions, Rini?
No, but this is something so interesting because many times there are words like that, like revocation and all, and we do not understand, as in, people, especially the immigrants, they do not understand that what should they do and how is it happening, why is it happening. So ye jo nitty-gritties hote hai, I think, dear listeners, you already know that immigration is a very, very tricky thing. So you always need somebody to guide you through. And, here you have Shah, who has so much of experience. I know him from so long back, and he is on radio completed 12 years already. So you know that you can definitely trust him. And if you want to fix an appointment, please note down the number 510-742-5887. You can definitely check piralilaw.com for more information. So Shah, coming back to this, if somebody is having this sort of situations, then what are their options?
Unfortunately, like I say, most of the time you are kind of stuck. Very often you will not be able to stay in the U.S. because you cannot change status. You cannot do many things except if you are eligible for some kind of maybe asylum, marriage petition, or alternative petitions like U visas, etc. Your H-1B will be gone. Fighting this is almost futile because there's no way you're going to prove that there was no case, you were not involved in it, because they will assume that you knew that your end client was not real, so you were some kind of an accomplice with your employer. Having said that, many people are just victims, by the way, because they don't know when they get a job offer what the employer is really picking as their end client. And that's the unfortunate part because you don't pick your end client. You work for an employer, just like you work for me. If I ask you to work on a case, you have to work on that case, right? So you don't pick, I don't want this case. I allow certain of my employees to do that, but most employers will not allow you to do that. So that's the unfair situation, and oftentimes I tell people there's no need to fight this. Either try another option in another country, or if you have a family petitions like a marriage petition, a VAWA petition, a U visa, an asylum, then look into that, because that will be a better chance of staying in the U.S. than trying to hit your head against the wall of the H-1B. Although I'm hoping that at one point we will be able to fight this. But the problem is that while you fight it, nobody wants to be the guinea pig to try if it will work or not, right? So it's very sad, but it's a case-by-case basis, by the way. Some cases you might be able to fight it because the person can prove that at no point in time this was their goal to use this company. And also people who have situation where their original H-1B was obtained very fair and square. Then, if later on the employer did something like that, you might have a chance to use the H-1B and with another company, and they might allow that. But we don't have a blanket solution, unfortunately. It's a case-by-case basis, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I've been getting a bunch of them lately, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. Any other point you want to make, or you want me to talk about some other issues that we are seeing frequently now?
Yeah, I just want to ask one follow-up question on this, Shah. So if somebody is under this situation and they had to go back to the country, is there a cap like after such and such years they can apply back for H-1B, or like there is nothing, like they can come back immediately if another job is offered?
Unfortunately, that's a problem, because if you're under the 212A6C1, it's a permanent ban. But sometimes they will allow you to file for a waiver, but most of the time those waivers are not going to get approved. Waivers are like forgiveness. So you basically accept, yes, there was a mistake done, but it was under extraordinary circumstances, so you ask for forgiveness, and if they allow you the 212 waiver, we call it the 212 waiver, then you will be able to come back. But from my experience, most of those waivers don't get approved. And that's the unfortunate part. It's there, but it's very selective. Maybe 10%, and I'm just guessing here, okay? I'm not giving exact information because I don't know, get approved. But most of my cases, I'm not going to lie, is a headache, and it's not really my rate of approval, and we have very good rate of approval in most cases, but when it comes to waivers, it's very low, and I think in general it's very low for everybody.
All right. So, Radio Zindagi listeners, सुन लिया आपने, right? It is a very, very tricky situation. So, अगर you fear about anything or you have any immigration questions, first of all, so you can give us a call right now. 510-770-1550 है हमारा नंबर. और अगर आप शाह पिराली के साथ एक पर्सनल अपॉइंटमेंट फिक्स करना चाहते हैं, तो फिर नोट डाउन द नंबर 510-742-5887. Do check piralilaw.com so that you get an overall idea about like what are the services and how you should approach and fix an appointment. Yesha, back to you, and tell us something more about the immigration front.
Yes, Nuni, another thing that we are seeing right now is a lot of cases where people are actually getting what we call a notice of intent to deny or a notice of intent to revoke. Okay, what it means, a notice of intent to deny is very much like same format as an RFE, as a request of evidence, but it's a higher burden because when the notice of intent to deny, it means they are intending to deny your case. So you're already kind of going on negative ground instead of a same level ground to fight them. That means you have to prove beyond normal ways to how you should not be denied on your case. And that's something which we're seeing also. And notice of intent to revoke, it can be attached to the situation I mentioned before. A notice of intent to revoke, that means they already approved the case, but they want to revoke it now because they believe that there's something that was not properly done or there was some kind of misrepresentation. And in this case, they give you a chance and opportunity to answer before they do the revocation. And both of them can be fought, by the way. I've fought many of them, and we were kind of successful in many cases. But sometimes they're very, very strict, and they won't approve your case. So these are things that we are seeing very, very frequently right now. And also, of course, we are seeing a lot of problems with the U.S. Embassy. Everything is delayed. People are stuck. 221G are being issued a lot again. And some visas, they are not even getting an appointment until next year. So if you're planning to go outside, then make sure you let your employer know that you might be stuck there for a while because cases are taking long to get an appointment. And even if you get an appointment, you do your interview, by the time they issue the visa, you might get delayed again. Another thing, you have to be careful if you have any kind of criminal background. That means, for example, you were arrested for DUI, shoplifting, you name it. Make sure you don't travel unless you talk to an attorney. And we can guide you. We can prepare what we call an advisory opinion, which you can use. But the best solution is not to travel, because this is what happened. There is a cable, what we call kind of a rule from the State Department, for example, for the DUI or any kind of criminal matter, excuse me, any kind of criminal matter, that as soon as you get that, you will get an email, usually from the Department of State, that your visa has been revoked. When they're talking about your visa, they're talking about the stamp on the passport, not the I-94. I repeat that. They're talking about the visa on the passport, not the I-94. So they can only kind of block you when you travel outside. So if you have a situation like that, I would recommend not to travel if you can. But if you have to travel, talk to a lawyer before you leave, and you can call us 510-742-5887. Let us assess your case before you travel, because you don't want to be there and then get stuck in India or somewhere in Dubai or Abu Dhabi when you're doing clearance. So be careful on all those stuff. Now, there's another thing also. I'm kind of covering a lot of frequent situations we are getting, Renee. So, as you know, a lot of people during the COVID filed extension when they came on the B1, B2 visa. Most of them have been approved, but many people, their cases were pending and they didn't want to wait, so they left the country and they didn't do their fingerprint, etc. And what happened is that when they left, everything should have been fine, right? But by them leaving the country, their fingerprint notice came and they couldn't attend those, and the case got automatically denied. And when the case gets denied for a visitor visa, not only it blocks you as a denial, but the visa, the stamp on the passport is revoked by operation of law. And that has been the law for ages. I think it's under 245J, INA 245J, if I'm not mistaken. What it does is basically you cannot use that stamp on your passport again. And a lot of people actually they think, okay, the stamp is still on my passport, they're traveling back, and either they are being blocked by the airlines themselves, or if they're transiting like through Dubai or something like that, they will stop you there. So don't try to travel if you overstayed and you left the country during an extension and the extension got denied, because there's a big chance that stamp on your passport is gone. You won't be able to travel on it. So I covered a few of the things that we are seeing frequently right now. Anything on your side, Renee, you want to talk about? Because I think we have another 5 minutes to go, right?
Right. Shah, I just wanted to ask you about, a lot of people, they're stuck in the green card procedure in US. And is there do you see anything happening that the priority dates, kabhi-kabhi to wo thoda sa move up kar jate hai, because I remember that I think 2 years back, suddenly a lot of green card got processed and then again it's kind of stuck. So do you have any news on the green card front for people who are waiting for a green card?
Well, that's another topic I was going to talk about, mostly the visa built-in, because a lot of people are getting affected, of course, by the visa built-in. And my predictions a few months ago is not really happening, because I think the recession has changed the dynamic. My hope was that the visa built-in for India, especially EB2 category, would have moved to at least 2017 by the end of this year. But now I have to revise this, because I have to account for the recession and all the stuff that is going on, a lot of layoff. So my take is that it won't move beyond probably 2016 if it keeps going up. But I think 2015 will keep going for the next until April, my take is that it will continue going up because that's when they make the financial decisions for the fiscal year. So hopefully it will keep going up, but it won't have the increment like it had 2 months ago where it jumped by 1 year. So be ready for that. If you have to make a decision either to change job, etc., talk to a lawyer before you make the move, because at the same time, my take is that it will not happen soon. So you might be comfortably comfortably in a good enough position to move to another company. So I think the visa bulletin, that what you're talking about, the green card for people who are waiting, is going to get not better. It will keep growing on EB2. EB3, don't count on it too much. That's my take. EB1 will probably stay current, but EB2 is the one that most people are asking about. It has not retrogressed, and I don't see possibly a retrogression until April. But after April, I think it will go back to 2013 or 14. So be ready for that, and if you need any help, let us know. We'll be glad to help you.
Wonderful. So, Radio Zindagi listeners, please note down the number 510-742-5887 and check out piralilaw.com. एक बार मैं spell कर देती हूँ. It's PEERALLYLAW.com. So you can, get a lot of information in the website, and if you want a personalized, appointment, you need to speak a lot about your, different sides of your immigration situation. You can always do that by calling 510-742-5887. Shah, we have around 3 minutes in hand, and I want to ask you something. I don't know whether it'll be short or long, but I just want to shoot that question. It just came to my mind that kabhi-kabhi aisa hota hai that, people with H1B or, their spouses with H4, their kids with H4, and they file for green card, and then they get their EADs, like even for the child as well. So after the child gets the EAD, is he or she able to work, or is there a age limit after that he or she should work?
You mean the child?
The child.
Yeah, it's a state by state, but if they issue the EAD, usually above 16 you can work.
Okay.
But it's more like a state law, so I don't have all the data on this. But I think at 14 they issue the EAD, above 14, but I never really dig into that, which state allowed that. But I know as far as you're 16, you should be able to work. And so you can work, but they issue the 14 because I think some states, they allow you to start working at 14.
Okay. Yeah. That was actually my confusion, because I see a lot of 14-year-old get the EADs. So I was wondering whether they can work or they should wait for 2 more years. So mujhe lagta hai, listeners, if you have, in such a situation, if you want to know more about that, why don't you fix an appointment with Shah Pirali? 510-742-5887. We have 2 more minutes left, and Shah, I just wanted to ask you that, I just lost my question. So many things in my mind. But yeah, I just, it happens all the time. But Shah, tell me something that is very, very near to your heart, I know. And I just wanted to know whether you are doing it or not. I remember that you made a lot of movies on immigration, and those were such heartwarming movies. I have been a part of that for a very long time. So are you having any plan to make another that people can, watch and get benefit from that?
Unfortunately, now there's a lot of things happening, including the COVID, and I am a little bit older, so I don't have that kind of luxury to do a lot of those. Hopefully one day we will do something that catches all of this, but right now concentrating on the work and catching up from the 2 years of COVID that has kind of drained a lot of things from a lot of people. And I'm more focused on the work than doing extra kind of curricular activities. But hopefully one day we should be able to go back on that. But right now, no, because it's too much. Maybe a book or something like that. might come out, but I have not really focused on anything else except the work and just time with the family, and also with I do a lot of farming as kind of my new hobby, and farming and archery and spending time in nature, protecting environment, stuff like that. So that's now where I'm spending most of my spare time. So movies, I don't think it will happen soon, but hopefully we never know. We'll see how things unfold. But thank you so much. I think we are done, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to thank you. Thank you, Rini, for being here all the time. We know each other for now 11 years or 12 years, so I wanted to thank you. Thank you, listeners. We'll be back next week, same time.
All right, listeners. तो आप सुन रहे थे शाह पराली को, and you know that whenever you have an immigration need, you can call 510-742-5887. फिलहाल आज के लिए बस इतना ही. आप कहीं मत जाइए, सुनते रहिए रेडियो जिंदगी 1550 AM और हमेशा खुद से कहते रहिए जिए जा.